I'd now like to introduce Louise Delaney, who is, of course, the Tax Justice Aotearoa. Louise is also a public health lawyer, an academic, senior lecturer at Otago still, yes, and has worked in the health sector for much of her working life, has many insights, and pleased to have your comments on the budget. Louise, thank you. Welcome.
Kia ora tātou. My name is Louise Delaney. First of all, I just want to thank the organisers for inviting me. I very much welcome the ability to talk on tax. I would also like to thank the speakers who have already spoken before me, and really to thank them very, very much. I really appreciate their many ideas and principles that they've shared with us. I have to say, though, of course, that Murray's reminder of Wellington, New Zealand's Grenfell moment, Loafers Lodge, has the one problem of, making us want to cry, which is not the right time to do that right this very moment. Okay, so I'm from Tax Justice Aotearoa, and I want to just begin with saying why invite me here, and that's because it's quite simple. We certainly believe in Tax Justice, our organisation, that tax reform, both in how we get money, how much we get money, and from whom we get money, is the answer to many of the issues that we've talked about today. So, Tax Justice, right, thanks. I won't go on about this in detail. It's a values that we share a lot, I think, but very specifically, as a united focus, our group wants a world where we have fair tax policies that produce enough tax revenue to both reduce inequalities and of course, poverty, and particular child poverty. We want also more funding for public services, and to do that, basically, money is essential. Funding for services needs money, which means needs a different tax system. I'll just mention our tax system at the moment relies on two main streams. One is income from wages and benefits to some extent, and secondly, consumption tax, GST. Every time you go to the supermarket, you pay a tax. So what our tax system doesn't tax is major. In particular, no wealth, with very minor exceptions, is taxed, and capital gains is not, of course, taxed. Now that is a major gap in our present system, a source of wealth which we have not tapped. The effective rate paid by New Zealand's richest people is just 8.9%, whereas ordinary people can pay 22% of their income for somebody earning $80,000 a year. So that just kind of shows how much revenue we could get if we had a wealth system with a system which a bit more focus on wealth. Our tax system does not have to be like this. Like a previous speaker said, systems can be changed. Last week, around 100, quote, financially comfortable people in an open letter wrote that tax was a shared contribution to the collective success of New Zealand, such as it is. Tax is one way we can build a better world. We are ready to pay our fair share. Nearly half the country's wealthiest people pay a lower tax rate than medium tax workers. And many people supported that open letter when it came out. It supported specifically some kind of wealth tax. There are various kinds of wealth taxes, so we're not just talking about one in particular. Now, I'm not going to go over, but just briefly show this, which is a bit of a summary of what other people have said, what's in the budget today. A bit too small to read, really. But, as people have said, there are some positive steps, and we welcome those. Certainly, great emphasis on ECE. The co-payment obviously is an issue that a positive thing that people have mentioned. Free school lunches, that's been continued. Public transport, as identified. And of course housing, including Māori housing, retrofitting, all that kind of thing. They're good steps, and we're not gainsaying that. But there's a heck of a lot which is not in the budget. Action around working for families, that's for sure. Estimates for child poverty targets say they may decrease a little bit this year, but next year we expect to see them on the increase again, and at the present rate, our child poverty targets will not be met. As a tax working group, we are of course interested fundamentally in what the budget had for tax-related moves. Basically nothing fundamental. There's one little whisper of a change, that is an increase in the rate of trustees, which are a major source in which richer people, more well-off people, can park their money while they think about what they're going to do next. That has changed, and that's good. It will promote fairness to some extent, but it is a tiny drop in the bucket of possible wealth revenue. Okay, so my little quick summing up of the budget impact, many people have mentioned this. The cyclone recovery is absolutely essential, of course, but there is very little, apart from information on data, about the funding for long-term climate change policy. How could the budget have addressed inequity and so on, reduced poverty? Our tax system needs a greater focus on wealth. A capital gains tax, where I'm not mentioning any particular preferences here, there are options: capital gains, wealth tax, inheritance tax. What is next for us as ordinary people? We must make tax an election issue. The scale and breadth of challenges covered in today's budget, yesterday's, demand urgency, and they depend on better taxes, not less taxes. We can't end child poverty without better tax. So, we have formed a coalition. This is where the advertisement is. Us, Tax Justice and Oxfam, and have formed a coalition with many participating organisations. This campaign kicks off in a couple of weeks' time. It will be launched formally in a few weeks with ideas to people who wish to participate in that, and you can learn about this, the Fair Tax campaign, from our website, or come and ask me when that properly gets going. It's aimed towards the election. So in one way, we are not that concerned, we're not going to focus right now on yesterday's budget. We are looking forward to an election and ways we can influence those in power to think about tax as a way to reduce the many inequalities that our previous speakers have talked about and reduce poverty. So I invite you to go and find out more where we stand on this issue from our Tax Justice website. Thank you very much for this opportunity.